Today we are going to see tokens in C programming. A C program consists of the various tokens. It can be as a keyword, identifier, constant, string, or any symbol, character set, etc. Character sets can be used into the C program like alphabets, capital letters A to Z, small letters A to Z, and some of the special characters are also used in the program like plus, minus, multiplication, division, equal to, etc. Keyword is the next token which we are having. These are the words which have the special meaning in C program as the reserved words that may not be used as the constant or the variables as or any identifier name. So here we are having some of the examples: auto, break, case, character, constant, etc. These words are having the special meaning in the C program, so you cannot use it for defining it for the identifier or variable. The next keyword is about, next token is about the identifier, where the identifiers has to be named with the following norms. First character should be an alphabet followed by an alphanumerical character. It can be underscore also in the identifier name. You can have X, you can have X1, you can have X underscore 1. Identifiers are always case sensitive. Other special characters are not permitted in identifier names. Length of the identifier can be of 31 character, and it should be easy to understand as per the scope of the program. As if we are doing the addition of two numbers, then you can mention these two numbers at num1 or num2. If you are giving it by another naming convention, then it will be confusing to understand what is the contents of that particular variable. So as per the scope of that particular program, it should be represented. For example, if you are having the student data, then also you can have a roll number, name, division, class, gender. These are the certain examples of the identifiers you can have it. Variable is the another token which you people can have it. Variable is the naming convention given to the storage area where you people are having certain norms to be followed into the variable as like the identifier. Still, it is also case sensitive. Here also you cannot use any special character. Only underscore is permitted and alphanumerical characters are permitted into the variable. Variables can be represented here with the several data types. One of the data type has been represented. First row, that is integer. Second one is character. Third float, and the next one is double. Integers are the whole numbers that can have both the zero, positive and negative values, but no decimal values. Character is a single character where keyword character is used for declaring the character type variables, and here you people can have character test is equal to h also can be represented. It is using here 1 byte storage to store the single character into the C program. The integer value can be stored in the 2 byte, that is a one word. Float is one of the data type which is consisting of here the real numbers or the decimal point values, and this floating point values are using one word as a 4 byte space into the C program. Double is the next fourth data type which you are having. It is a double precision floating point number which is supporting here the double range of these float values, and it is you taking here 8 byte space into your program. You people can write down here the various variables into the program as we do have it here. Some of the valid variables you can have it, some of the invalid variables we can discuss. If I'm telling here x underscore 1, so obviously this is a valid variable which you people are having. If I'm telling underscore x1, it is invalid obviously. If I'm telling here x, if I'm telling x hash 1, then also it is invalid. If I'm telling here 1x or 1p, then this also is invalid because it is starting with the numerical value. If I'm writing just a p1, then it is okay. If I'm writing one of our word, that it is okay, Shakti, it is fine. If I'm writing Shakti 123, still it is fine because it is a valid variable which you do have it. So these are the certain examples of valid and invalid identifiers or the variables in your program. By considering the above norms that we have mentioned, here the first character should be alphabet, or it can be followed with the alphanumerical characters again, and underscore can be there into the naming convention. So with this same characteristic here, you are writing the valid and the invalid numbers into the program. Invalid variables you people are writing into the program. These are the some of the examples that we have been seen here. If I'm writing here just the name ABCD, still it is fine, it is a valid, no issue. If I'm writing here just a C, then also it is okay. You can have it. As we have discussed this table, integer, character, float, and double. With this naming convention, you can declare here certain data types in this kind of way in the program. Integer, you people can have it. Integer data type, you can represent integer D semicolon. This indicates that D is a variable with the integer data type. And obviously it takes here that much storage space, that is a 2 byte storage space into your C program. You can also declare here the another type of the variables that we have been mentioned, character, as we mentioned. Character X is equal to, in the single quote, I can write down S semicolon. So this interprets here as X is the character variable and it has been assigned here the value that is S. Like this specification, you can have it for the variable declaration. As we have the specification of these variables here, every variable data type is having certain limitations. As we do have it here, the factorial of a given number is there. If we are writing the program factorial of a given number, then I am having here, if I am writing here 3 factorial, then obviously my value is 6. If I'm writing here 15 factorial, then my value will be very much longer one. It will be the very much longer one which will not be fit into the integer data type. So these are the limitations you can observe in the table. Minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. This is what the overall range of your this integer data type. Till this only you can store the values in the integer data type. And if your value is going beyond that range, if your value is going beyond that range, then you cannot support it into the integer data type. Then here there are another data types are supported, that is a long integer you can use in your program. For writing the integer data type on the monitor, and as well if you are taking the input and output in the integer data type variables, then you need some format specifier, and that format specifier is a percentage %D. Character data type is taking here the values from minus 128 to plus 127. This is regarding here the values which has been interpreted for your ASCII code values for the specific characters. It takes the 1 byte storage, and percentage %C is the specification which is used here for input and output purpose. The format specifier of character is percentage %C. Float is the another data type where you are having decimal point interpretations are there for the numerical. This is what the range of this float value. You can have here 4 byte of data can be stored for the floating values, and percentage %F is the format specifier that we do use here for writing the variable in the input and output functions. We can declare here the variables in this kind of way: data type, variable name. This is what the declaration of the variable part into the program. Data type, variable name is equal to value. This is the initialization part, and you can obviously look at here. Just now we have discussed the example integer n. This is what one of the declaration it is interpreting here. N is a variable with the integer data type. You can have integer n is equal to 10. At the time of declaration only, you are assigning the value to the integer value variable. That is also valid into your particular C program. Character X, Y is equal to capital letter A, semicolon. This is one of the interpretation that you do have it. You can declare multiple variables in the single line with the type of the data. Like I can have an integer n, x, p, s, etc., etc. You can declare multiple variable at the same time. You can look here for the float variable. X is equal to 5.12, comma y. These two variables we have been written. I can expand my list in whatever as per my requirement. You can observe here a, comma, g, comma, h, comma, y, comma, t, comma, s, comma, etc., etc. Whatever you required, you can write down it into the declaration part. As well, if you want to assign the value, at the same time, you can assign it also in this kind of way. Another data type, you can have it as an array. Array is a data structure. Array is a data structure which is used in C program for the manipulation of the data. It is storing here the same category of the element. The same type of the elements, the same data type elements are stored in the array. Why do we use here the array? As if I am adding two numbers, then I can easily write down a plus b. If I'm adding three numbers, I can easily write down a plus b plus c. Yes, it's fine if I'm using here six numbers, a plus b plus c plus d plus e plus f plus e, etc. Whatever you can have it. But if I am writing here the program for addition of 20 numbers, so obviously it is not feasible to me write down this expression like a plus b plus c plus d plus something up to 20th number. Obviously, it is not possible. So therefore, array is one of the data structure which supports to store such kind of similar data type elements at one place in one variable. So instead of writing here a plus b plus c 20 times, I can easily write down x of 20. So that interprets here my 20 numbers are stored in the x variable itself. You can declare here the array as a character array also, floating array also. You can declare it as an integer array also. Here, with the similar kind of data type elements, you can have the declaration of the array. This is what the conceptual diagram of the array, where this array is interpreting here 11 elements in the character array. So you can observe California. This is what the word it has been represented. CALIFORNIA. These are the 11 characters that had been stored at the specific variable in the single variable, and these 11 characters have been represented like this way. The last character is shown \0. This is what the default null character. So your this particular California word is ended by the null character by default. But still here, this kind of character array can be represented here into the C program. Integer array. You can store the integer values also. The indices will get carried by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are my values. It is telling that x of 0 is 11, x of 1 is 12, x of 2 is 13, x of 3 is 14, x of 4 is 15. So my 5 elements are stored into the x array. To interpret here the position of that element, I have indices. Here we can write it as a subscript also. You can represent it as an index value also. This array is having the size 5 and the above array is having the size 11, which has been shown in the diagram. We can declare here this kind of array specification in the specific way like this way. We will just look here in the next slide. Yes, here you can have it. If I'm telling here, Shetty, this is what my array name I'm telling. I can have here a check key of 3. So if I'm telling this is what the interpretation, then I can represent the array elements like this way. You can just look here. Check key of 3 if I'm writing, I can either start it by 0 index value. So my elements will be like this way. So you can observe it here. The arrays always will be written by this square brace bracket. It is always written by the square bracket, which is representing here the subscript which has been represented into this particular array. We can just look here, this square bracket is always compulsory for array because it is an interpretation of array. So I can mention here integer Shakti array. I can represent here, this is what the way how I can write down semicolon. This is what the declaration. The meaning of this here Shakti 0 can have here any value if you want to say that 101 if you are telling, if you want to say 102, if you want to say 103, like this way anything you can represent it for this particular specification. This is what one of the specification if you are trying and if you are assuming the indices from the 0. Another one, if you are understanding the indices from 1, then you will have the elements like this. Check key of 1, check key of 2, check key of 3. So this will be here the interpretation of this particular array with the 0 indices, beginning index values, and check key of 1, 2, 3, that is a 1 index value which you have. As we already discussed here, the variables we are declaring. We mentioned that variables are the identifiers. It is the naming convention given to your storage area. What do you mean by it? What do you mean by that storage area which you are having it here? We can have here the interpretation can be understandable by this one of the concept we will just see here. This is what one of my table that I am telling here. I am adding here my values which has been represented. I will just format it for understanding it in a well manner. You can just get the idea about it. I will just increase the size of it. Fine. I'm having the addition of two numbers as I said it. So my first number is 2. My second number is 3. My answer is 5. Fine. This is my interpretation for understanding. How computer will understand. For that purpose, student, you are writing the naming convention as a variable and that you are representing. That is, here you are writing A, here you are writing B, here you are writing C. These are what the input values you are writing. You are having these are the input values, these are the input values, and this is what the output value which you people are having. That is 2 plus 3, 5. So when you are using certain kinds of values as well as to use the data into the C program, every data should have some naming convention, and that naming convention you can write down it with the help of the variable name. You can represent it like this way. Just we can work out it. As we are mentioning here, it is a variable. We are writing it as a variable name. You are writing it as values assigned to your variable. And then here it needs here the storage location also. So it is having maybe certain sort of a storage location can be there. Whatever it is, it will be written into this kind of way. It will be having here maybe this is what the storage location suppose we are talking about. So it will take the storage location in the C program like this way, like 14,561. If A value is getting stored, 2 byte of data will get added, and then 69 you will have another integer value. Then you will have the another integer value by like this way. So it is every variable it is taking 2 byte of data, like you can observe 67, 69, and 71. With this kind of storage location here, you people can assign the variable names as well as you can mention the values to the specific variable. We are going to see here one of the program which is interpreting here the representation of these variables into the C program. Here you people can have the C program can be written as we already discussed about the structure of a C program, where you are having the first part always is the library declaration. Then you do have it here, the main function will get started, and whatever you want that you people can represent it here into the program. So you can see here, this is the first line which is interpreting hash include stdio dot h. This program will be given for the compilation in the Turbo C. In that, the compiler will understand the first symbol, that is hash, and that hash will get understandable. It is a pre-processor directive. So compiler will understand I need to pre-process something. What? That it has to include something. What it will get including? It is including stdio.h, that is standard input output header file. This standard input output header file includes all the input output functions related to the C program, and you can easily access all that functions into the program because you have added stdio.h. Hash include conio.h. This is regarding here the console input output function. Since we are using here the Turbo C++ editor, so we are including this console input output function header file here into the program. We have a next line, that is integer main function. This indicates here that the main function is getting started. We have written one of the keyword before that, and it is called as a integer. It is called as a integer. So it mentions that the main function returns the integer value. If we are writing the statement void main, so that interprets here whatever line you have written, that is returning something, as you have mentioned that it is returning some integer value. So when you are writing this integer main function, then always you should return some value to the main function. So that's why return 0 you have written. If you are writing just void main, so you don't have to write down the return 0. You don't have to write down return 0. This indicates that the void main function indicates that main function does not return any value, does not return any value. With this specification, you can write down the main function. You can have here the declaration of the variables, as well as you are initializing it at the time of declaration. So look at the board here. Integer a is equal to 45. This is the a is a variable with the integer data type and having value 45. X of 3, this is the variable. X is the variable of array data type, which is having the elements, that is 10, 20, 30. So these elements can be represented in the brace bracket like this way. It can be represented in the brace bracket like this way. Similarly, you can write down float b is equal to 3.23. Double any value you can write down, and you can write down the d character variable, any alphabet you can write down. Whatever you have assigned it here, whatever you have assigned it here, you can print it on the monitor. As already we have seen here, the printf statement. The meaning of printf statement means what? Print function. Print something, whatever given into this double quote bracket on the monitor. So you are printing here printf double quote backslash in a is equal to percentage d. As already I told you, you need some format specifiers for input and output. Now we are outputting the contents of the variable. So therefore you are having percentage d format specifier. Capital A is equal to percentage d you are writing, and it is a you are printing. So that's why you have written it double quote complete comma a. Same thing you are printing b value. Backslash in means what? On the new line. On the new line you are printing b is equal to percentage f because you are using it for the float variable, comma b because you are printing the value of b. The same thing double you people can have it. C is equal to percentage f. That indicates here the floating value. Double value means what? The floating ka double value. You can write down it as a percentage LF also. You are printing the value of C, semicolon is there again at the end of the statement. Print F, again you are printing on the new line, capital D is equal to percentage C. This is the character data type you are printing, so comma D contains you are printing it. Print F backslash n on the new line. You are printing the second element of X array. Second element of X array is equal to percentage D and X of 1. Now how it will be 1? Because you can observe it here. Just now we have seen in this slide. This light is indicating that either you can start the indices with the 0, otherwise you can start the index value of the array from 1. But by default, always the index value is 0. By default, the index value is 0. If you are not defining Shetty of 0 is equal to 101, Shetty of 1 is equal to 103, then if you are not assigning this, okay, if you are not assigning this, then you can write down the content like this way. You can write down the content like this way, 101, comma 102, comma 103, and then brace bracket complete. This indicates here your array set has been completed. Array set has been completed. And then you can very well use it into the program also in this kind of way. So here you have printed all these contents, whatever you initialized, declared, and same thing you are printing it on the monitor. Now we will see how these things will get executed into the program. You can observe here, I have opened the Dev C++ interface editor. In this editor, you are having, you can create the new source file. I have started, I have just clicked on the new source file which is having. I'm saving the same program it here on the this particular editor, Control C, and I'm printing it on here. I'm printing the same thing here. You can observe all these comments which people are having. You have written it by this particular slash star. So these are the single line comment which you people are having. Turbo C++ editor we are using. So we can very well keep that comments as it is for our understanding. And I am just changing the symbol to double slash because the double slash is indicating here the single line comment. It is indicating here the single line comment, and it has been represented like this way. I am just putting it all the comment symbols. I'm making change and I'm mentioning it here. I can save my program. I can mention here save. So that program will get saved. With any naming convention, I can save it. I have saved it. Now you can observe here, this is the execute. I can compile my program. I have to compile the program for converting it into the machine level language. This high level language program should be converted into the machine level language. So either I can click on here this F9, you can observe it on the pop-up menu, F9. Otherwise, I can directly click on compile. Same way, if I want to execute the program, I can click on F10. Otherwise, I can click on this run. I'm compiling the program. See, it is giving me so many errors into this particular program. And one by one, then now these errors we need to identify it, and we need to just work out the execution of this particular error. We will remove the errors accordingly. So now here we have to look for the error. Where is it? So one by one we will just go through it again, and here we can observe the error has been occurred here, that is it is indicating that S was not declared in the scope. So just let's check out here. After the execution, we after the compilation we found it. So here we need to have this single quote in this kind of way, and we by mistake taken a different single quote. So now again we will see the setting of the program. Again we will see the next error. You can observe here the next error is n second was not declared in the scope. Let me check now the another statement. Here you can observe all these double quotes are in blue color. Here it is in black, means this double quote is also is not correct one. So please write down the double quote properly. So here this double quote has to be modified, and you can observe now it has been done. Now again I am doing the Control S. I will do the F9, which is for compilation. And now you can observe here, I have got all these warnings and errors as a zero value. As a zero value here, we got the errors and warnings. Now you can just look here. I will execute the program by F10, and here we got here a is equal to 45, b is equal to 323. All these values whichever we assigned, you can see a is equal to 45, b is equal to 3.23, c is 3546, d is equal to s, and I ask here second element of X array. So you can just look here in this 1, 2, 3. The second element means what? X of 1. X of 1, as we already discussed in this slide. Here these arrays are stored in this kind of way. We are storing the arrays by this way. Either otherwise you can have the by default definition of this arrays will be like this way, where you people are having the default index is 0, then 1, and then 2. So exactly then we people can mention first element, then second element, and then third element. So the same thing is carrying on in this particular program in array declaration. So this is what the execution of the overall program that we have seen it here, and now we remove the errors also from it. In the next slide, again here we are going to see about the void data type that we just now discussed about it. Void is an empty data type that has no value. We use void data type in functions when we don't want to return any value to the calling function. Whatever function you people are having, to that function you are not having any return value, then you can write down the void function. So you can observe it here, void main function, and you are writing only the statements regarding the functions. And if you are writing here the data type or prototype of this function, then you should write down here the return value, and this is the statements which you will have to write down. Return 0, this statement will indicate here the function is returning integer value. So here we have completed with all the data types and its use in C programming.